There is a lie that has been programmed into your brain since the day you were born. It is a lie that your parents taught you, that your teachers reinforced, and that your boss demands you believe. It is the foundation of modern society. The lie is this: to get more, you must do more. If you want more money, work more hours. If you want better grades, study longer. If you want to build a house, lay more bricks. In almost every single profession on earth, activity equals reward. The harder you sweat, the more you earn. The busier you are, the more productive you are. But there is one profession, one singular, brutal, unforgiving arena, where this logic is not just wrong, it is fatal. That arena is trading. Trading is the only job on the planet where showing up to work and doing absolutely nothing can make you more money than working yourself into the ground. It is the only profession where trying harder usually leads to going broke faster. Think about the last time you lost money. Did you lose it because you weren't looking at the charts enough? Did you lose it because you didn't click the mouse enough times? Or did you lose it because you did too much? Because you forced a trade that wasn't there? Because you overmanaged a position that needed space? Because you tried to make back a loss and dug the hole deeper? I am going to show you today that your obsession with activity is the single biggest barrier to your profitability. I am going to argue that the most profitable skill you can learn is not technical analysis, it is not fundamental analysis, and it is not reading the tape. The most profitable skill is the art of strategic inactivity. Let's look at the data. This isn't just my opinion. This is mathematical fact. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, conducted a massive study analyzing over 66,000 trading accounts over a 6-year period. They wanted to find the correlation between trading frequency, how often you trade, and profitability, how much you keep. The results were devastating for the grinders. The most active traders, the ones who were in and out of the market constantly, the ones working the hardest, averaged annual returns of 11.4%. The least active traders, the ones who placed the fewest trades, averaged 18.5%. Let that sink in. The people who did the least work made nearly double the money of the people who did the most work. The overtraders weren't just making less money. They were being systematically destroyed by their own activity. They were dying by 1,000 cuts, commissions, spreads, slippage, and most importantly, decision fatigue. You see, the market does not pay you by the hour. It does not care how hard you study. It does not care how much you want it. The market pays you for one thing only: correct decisions. And here is the catch. Decision quality degrades with frequency. If you make one decision a month, you can spend weeks analyzing it. You can check every angle. You can be 99% sure. That decision is high quality. If you make one decision every 5 minutes, you are relying on instinct, snap judgments, and adrenaline. Those decisions are low quality. Yet, most retail traders act like busy fools. Imagine a man in a field digging a hole, sweating in the sun. When he finishes, he fills the hole back up with dirt. Then he digs another one. He is working incredibly hard. He is exhausted. But at the end of the day, what has he built? Nothing. This is the day trader who takes 20 trades, wins 10, loses 10, pays $50 in commissions, and ends the day down $100. He feels productive because he was busy. He feels like a trader because he was clicking buttons. But in reality, he was just a volunteer liquidity provider for the institutions. To succeed in this game, you have to break your brain. You have to unlearn the work ethic that society instilled in you. You have to accept that in the market, laziness is a virtue, and patience is a weapon. Chapter 1. The Biological Trap: Why We Can't Sit Still. So, if the data is so clear, if trading less makes more money, why is it so physically painful to sit on your hands? Why does looking at a chart without taking a trade feel like you are wasting your life? Because you are fighting against millions of years of evolutionary biology. Your brain was not designed to trade the S&P 500. Your brain was designed to survive on the African savanna. In the wild, action equals survival. If you saw a lion, you didn't sit there and analyze the risk-to-reward ratio of running away. You ran. Immediately. If you saw a gazelle, you didn't wait for perfect confirmation of its trajectory. You threw the spear. Immediately. The ancestors who sat still and waited for a better setup, starved to death or got eaten. They didn't pass on their genes. We are the descendants of the anxious, the reactive, and the hyperactive. We are wired to equate doing something with being safe. But the modern trading environment punishes this ancient wiring. In the market, the lion, the institution, eats the people who run. It eats the people who react. Let's look at the neuroscience of this urgency. Deep inside your brain, there is a region called the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC. Think of this as your brain's urgency center. When you are driving and a car swerves in front of you, your ACC lights up like a Christmas tree. It screams, "Danger! Act now!" It bypasses your logic and triggers a physical reflex. In trading, when you see a big green candle shoot up on the chart, your ACC interprets that movement as prey escaping or danger approaching. It lights up. It screams at you. Don't just sit there. You're missing it. Get in. Do something. This is why FOMO, fear of missing out, feels physical. It's not just a thought. It's a tightness in your chest. It's an itch in your fingers. Your body is literally preparing to chase the gazelle. But you aren't hunting gazelles. You are navigating a complex probability field. And in this field, the chase is the trap. I want to give you a new metaphor to replace the busy hunter. Stop trying to be the wolf that chases everything that moves. I want you to be the lion in the tall grass. A lion is an apex predator. But have you ever watched a nature documentary about lions? What do they do 95% of the time? Do they run around the savannah sprinting after every bird and rabbit they see? No, they sleep. They lay in the shade. They watch. They do absolutely nothing. Why? Because energy is expensive. If a lion chased every mediocre opportunity, it would burn all its calories. It would become exhausted. And when the big, slow, fat buffalo finally wandered by, the lion would be too tired to take it down. The lion knows that patience is energy conservation. It waits. It lets the fast, healthy gazelles run past. It ignores the low-probability kills. It waits for the straggler, the injured one, the one that wanders too close, the easy trade. And when that setup appears, the lion explodes. It commits 100% of its energy in a precise, violent strike. And it eats for a week. Most retail traders are not lions. They are hyperactive squirrels. They chase every nut. They panic at every noise. They burn all their mental energy and capital on low-probability noise. They trade the pre-market. They trade the open. They trade the lunch hour chop. They trade the close. By the time the actual A+ setup forms at 2 p.m., they are mentally fried. They have no capital calories left. They missed the buffalo because they were too busy chasing mice. You have to understand that your mental capital is just as finite as your financial capital. Every time you make a decision, even a small one like, should I enter here? You burn glucose in your brain. You deplete your willpower. This is called decision fatigue. If you spend your morning fighting the urge to enter bad trades, or scalping for pennies, you are depleting your reserves. You are making yourself stupider for the afternoon session. The market is waiting for you to get tired. It is waiting for you to get bored. Because a bored, tired trader makes mistakes. The lion strategy is the cure. You must accept that doing nothing is not laziness. Doing nothing is stalking. When you are sitting at your desk, hands off the mouse, watching the price action without engaging, you are not wasting time. You are hunting. You are conserving your energy for the kill shot. Every moment you spend not in a bad trade is a victory. Every time your ACC screams, act now, and you use your prefrontal cortex, logic, to say no, wait, you are rewiring your brain. You are evolving from a prey animal into a predator. Chapter 2. The addiction to anticipation, dopamine. But biology isn't the only enemy. There is also chemistry, specifically the chemistry of addiction. Why do we trade when there is no setup? Why do we click the button when we know it's a C-grade trade? Because we are addicted, not to the money, but to the anticipation. This is the great secret of dopamine that most people misunderstand. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure molecule. They think you get a hit of dopamine when you win a trade. That is false. Dopamine is the desire molecule. It is the chemical of craving and pursuit. Neuroscientists have found that dopamine levels peak before the reward is received. Think about a dog waiting for a treat. The dog is shaking with excitement while you are holding the treat. That is peak dopamine. Once he eats the treat, the excitement vanishes. He is calm. In trading, your brain releases the massive hit of dopamine not when you take profit, but when you click the buy button. It is the moment of commitment, the moment of possibility. This could be the one. This could be the trade that makes me rich. That split second of potential is the drug. And like any drug addict, your tolerance builds up. When you first started trading, maybe 1 trade a day was enough to give you a rush. But now, you need 5 trades, 10 trades. You need to up the leverage. You need to trade more volatile pairs. You aren't analyzing the market anymore. You are searching for a vein to inject the dopamine. This is why you feel that strange sense of deflation or emptiness immediately after entering a trade. Have you noticed that? The moment you are in, the excitement dies and is replaced by anxiety. The drug hit is over. Reality has set in. Now you just have to deal with the consequences. This chemical cycle creates the illusion of control. Doing something makes us feel safe because it makes us feel like we are steering the ship. Waiting feels like helplessness. I want to introduce you to the metaphor of the gallery guard. Imagine a security guard at the Louvre Museum in Paris. His job is to protect the Mona Lisa. The painting is worth nearly $1 billion. The guard sits on a chair in the corner of the room for 8 hours a day. He mostly does nothing. He watches the crowd. He looks at the painting. He sits. Is he being lazy? Is he being unproductive? If his boss walked in, would he yell at the guard, "Why aren't you doing anything? Get up, run around, tackle some tourists, look busy"? No, because the guard's job is vigilance. His value is not defined by his movement. His value is defined by his presence. His job is to do nothing for 99.9% of the time, so that he is ready for the 0.1% of the time when a thief actually tries to steal the painting. If the guard was running around the room sweating and looking busy just to feel productive, he would be distracted. He would miss the thief. You are the guard. Your capital is the Mona Lisa. It is precious. It is hard to acquire. Your job is to protect it. The setup is the thief. Your job is to sit there, bored, vigilant, and protective, waiting for the thief to show up. When the setup appears, the thief, you act. You tackle it. You arrest it, capture the profit. And then you go back to sitting in the chair. Most traders treat their capital like it's a ball in a pinball machine. They just want to see it bounce around and make lights flash. They are bored guards who start shooting at the artwork just to see something happen. You have to reframe your definition of the job. The job is not trading. The job is waiting. If you are trading for excitement, go to a casino. The drinks are free and the lights are prettier. But if you are trading for income, you must accept that boredom is the rent you pay for the profit. If you are excited, you are gambling. If you are bored, you are working. We have to break the addiction to the click. We have to start getting our dopamine from a different source. Instead of getting a dopamine hit from entering a trade, you need to train yourself to get a dopamine hit from rejecting a bad trade. When you see a mediocre setup, and your finger itches and you say, "No, not good enough," and you walk away, that is the win. You need to celebrate that. You need to feel proud of that. I just saved money. I just acted like a professional. I just defeated my lizard brain. That is the new high. The high of discipline. The high of self-control. It's a quieter high. It's not as explosive as the gambling high. But it is the only one that builds a career. Think about the sniper in the movies. He lays in the mud for 3 days. He doesn't move. He pees in a bottle. He waits. Does he fire his rifle randomly at trees because he's bored? Does he shoot at birds because he hasn't killed anything in a while? No, because he knows he has limited ammo, and revealing his position is fatal. He waits for the high-value target. 1 shot, 1 kill. The retail trader is a machine gunner. He sprays bullets everywhere, hoping to hit something, making a ton of noise, and usually ends up shooting himself in the foot. Be the sniper. The sniper is scary because he is silent. The sniper is scary because he waits. The market fears the patient trader. It eats the impatient one. Chapter 3. The surgery of the market. Precision versus volume. If we accept that we are fighting biology and chemistry, how do we actually build the professional standard? How do we operationalize doing less? We need to look at professions where the stakes are truly life and death. Let's contrast the butcher and the surgeon. The butcher works in volume. He takes a cleaver and hacks away at a carcass. Chop, chop, chop. It's messy. It's loud. There is blood everywhere. He is paid by the pound. The more meat he processes, the more money he makes. Efficiency is about speed and quantity. This is the scalper. This is the overtrader. He is hacking at the market, trying to extract scraps of meat, pips, from the noise. He is exhausted at the end of the day, covered in grime, having made hundreds of decisions. Now look at the neurosurgeon. The neurosurgeon walks into the operating room. It is silent. It is sterile. He looks at the MRI scans for an hour before he even picks up a scalpel. He visualizes the procedure. When he finally operates, his movements are microscopic. He might stand perfectly still for 10 minutes, just holding a clamp in place. He makes one incision. Precise, calculated, irreversible. He is not paid by the number of cuts he makes. If a surgeon made 50 cuts when only one was needed, he wouldn't get a bonus. He would be sued for malpractice. He would lose his license. He is paid for precision. He is paid for the result of the cut, not the effort of the cut. In trading, you are performing financial surgery. Every time you enter a trade, you are cutting open your capital. You are exposing it to infection loss. You are exposing it to trauma drawdown. You should treat an open trade as a medical emergency. It is a state of vulnerability. Your goal should be to get in, perform the operation, extract profit, and close the patient up, exit, as cleanly and quickly as possible. The butcher stays in the mess all day. The surgeon minimizes the time the patient is open. To trade like a surgeon, you need a quality filter. You need to impose artificial scarcity on your trading. Imagine if your broker charged you $1,000 commission for every trade you placed. Just imagine that for a second. How would your trading change tomorrow morning? Would you take that maybe setup on the 1-minute chart? Would you test the waters with a starter position? Would you revenge trade? No. You would be terrified to click the button. You would wait. You would check the daily time frame. You would wait for the 4-hour confirmation. You would wait for the retest. You would sit on your hands until a setup appeared that was so perfect, so obvious, so undeniable, that you would happily pay the $1,000 fee because you knew you were going to make $5,000. That is the surgeon's mindset. I have limited bullets. I have expensive entry fees. I only swing at the fat pitch. The reality is, the market does charge you a massive hidden fee for overtrading. It's not just commissions. It's the cost of your focus. You have a limited amount of A-game focus every day. Maybe 2 hours of peak cognitive performance. If you waste that A-game focus analyzing garbage charts or managing a losing C-grade trade, you are depleting your most valuable asset. When the A-plus setup finally arrives, you will be distracted. You will be tired. You will be managing the stress of the previous bad trade. And you will miss the surgeon's cut because you were too busy acting like a butcher. You have to cultivate a sense of elitism about your trades. Most setups are beneath you. Most price action is noise. I don't get out of bed for a consolidation range. I don't click the mouse for a weak pullback. Be a snob. The market throws garbage at you 90% of the time. Your job is to step over the garbage and wait for the gold. But waiting is hard. And it is made infinitely harder by social pressure. We live in the era of the screenshot trader. You open Twitter. You open Discord. You open Instagram. What do you see? Just banked 100 pips. Catching this knife. Easy money. My bot is up 5% today. It looks like everyone is making money all the time. It looks like the market is a non-stop party, and you are the only one standing outside in the rain. This triggers availability bias. Your brain sees these highlighted wins and assumes that winning is common and activity is profitable. You remember the one time you waited for confirmation and the trade took off without you. You replay that memory over and over. If only I had been more aggressive. But you conveniently forget the 50 times you waited, and the trade reversed and crashed, and you saved yourself a loss. You forget the saved capital because it is invisible. A loss avoided doesn't show up on a P&L statement, but it is real wealth. You have to realize that social media is a highlight reel. You are comparing your behind the scenes, the boring waiting, with everyone else's trailer, the winning trade. Nobody posts the 4 hours they spent sitting on their hands staring at a flat market. Nobody posts the trade they missed. Nobody posts the slow bleed of overtrading. To survive this, you must retreat to the batter's box. Warren Buffett uses the metaphor of the no-called strike game. In baseball, if the pitcher throws the ball over the plate and you don't swing, the umpire calls strike. 3 strikes and you're out. You are forced to swing eventually. But in trading, there are no called strikes. The market can throw you a pitch, a setup. It looks a little low. You don't swing. The market throws another. A little high. You don't swing. The market throws a curveball. You don't swing. You can stand at the plate with the bat on your shoulder for a day, a week, a month. The umpire will never call you out. Your account will never go to zero because you didn't trade. You can wait for 1,000 pitches until you get the one that is perfectly in your sweet spot, the slow, hanging curveball right down the middle. And then you swing with everything you have. The amateur feels pressure to swing at everything because the crowd is booing him. Why aren't you trading? The market is moving. Look at Bitcoin. Look at gold. He swings at balls in the dirt because he wants to feel like a player. The professional ignores the crowd. He wears earplugs. He stares at the pitcher. He knows that one home run pays for a year of patience. He knows that swinging at bad pitches leads to strikeouts and strikeouts lead to the bench. You have to become immune to FOMO. FOMO is the fear that the opportunity train is leaving the station and it's the last train ever. If I don't catch this move, I'll never be rich. That is a lie. The market is an infinite stream of trains. There is another one coming in 15 minutes. Another one tomorrow. Another one next week. The market has been open for hundreds of years and it will be open for hundreds more. Opportunities are infinite. Capital is finite. If you miss the train, you just wait for the next one. But if you jump in front of the train and get run over, blow your account, you can never ride again. Missing a trade is annoying. Losing your capital is fatal. Prioritize survival over participation. We need to zoom out, way out. We need to look at the timeline of your life. Most traders operate on a timeline of today. I need to make $500 today. I need to end the week green. This short-term thinking creates urgency. Urgency creates overtrading. Overtrading creates losses. You need to shift your timeline to the decade. Trading is not a sprint. It is an ultramarathon. If you treat it like a sprint, you will burn out your adrenal glands in year 1. You will blow your mental capital. You will develop ulcers. You will quit. The goal is not to make money fast. The goal is to make money forever. The goal is to be trading in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. To do that, you must preserve the machine. You are the machine. If you run an engine at redline max RPM every single day, it will explode. If you trade at redline, max activity, max stress, every day, you will explode. You must operate at cruising altitude. Efficient, calm, sustainable. Trading less is the ultimate sustainability hack. By taking fewer trades, you reduce your stress. You reduce your drawdowns. You reduce your emotional volatility. You make the job livable. I want you to make an identity shift today. Stop calling yourself an active trader. That sounds like someone who is frantic. Start calling yourself a position manager or a capital allocator. A capital allocator is stingy. He guards the vault. He assumes every potential investment is a scam until proven otherwise. He says no 99 times for every time he says yes. And when he says yes, it matters. The most powerful weapon in the financial markets costs $0. It is not an indicator. It is not a subscription. It is not a computer algorithm. It is the ability to sit on your hands. It is the ability to look at a moving chart, feel the urge to click, and do absolutely nothing. That silence is where the money is. That stillness is where the edge is. The 90% are running around in the mud, hacking at each other, screaming, chasing every tick. The 10% are sitting on the hill, watching, waiting, cleaning their rifles. They trade less. They make more. Be the sniper. Be the surgeon. Be the lion. Wait for your pitch. And when it comes, don't hesitate, because you saved your energy for this exact moment.